Hi everyone, JP here from 𝕽𝖋𝖙 Warlord, and I'm going to be updating you on the Riftforged Orc army that I said I was going to start 8 months ago. So if you want to see some talk about Riftforged Orc army lists and how they might fit into slow grows around the world, watch on. So it was about 8 months ago that I released a video, which I will link at some various point here or there, where I was talking about the 4 different armies that I was going to be having. And I had the Abyssals, that was my first one, and then I had the Goblins as I was completing towards the middle of last year, and then I was doing the Trident Realms for the Countercharge Challenge of 2022, and had to put off the Riftforged Orcs. So I'm looking forward to starting the Riftforged Orcs compared to, say, the Goblins and the Trident Realms, because both of those are relatively fragile factions, for different reasons, obviously. One's just made up of trash, Goblins, and the other one is difficult to use because it relies a lot on Ensnare, which is -1 to hit in combat. Still can get shot off. A lot of things can just kind of, if you don't go in the front, anyway, they're tricky to use, and while I do really enjoy them, I'm looking forward to what is essentially a smash face kind of list that is the Riftforged Orcs, because they're like the Orcs, but they just got, little other things, a bit more shooting, a bit more speed, and so I'm looking forward to getting through these really new models as well, for various slow grows that are happening around the world. So the first slow grow that really got me just like, let's do it, let's get all the Riftforged done at once, was the Australian Slow Grow League. So if you're in Australia, just start posting with us, because in the Kings of War Australia page, MacLeod has started this slow grow, and every week he puts up a post and he just posts in the comments what you've achieved, and he'll make a tally on a spreadsheet, and you get points, and then those points count as, enters into a raffle, and then that raffle ultimately means you might get, I think he was going to print off some terrain for you, something, either scatter terrain to go on the bases or terrain for the army. Like, he was going to use his 3D printer to hand out monthly prizes, which, is really cool. So that's very inspiring to just get stuff done, and you're posting anything. Like, I was just posting, like, I Zenithal primed a bunch, I assembled. I mean, when it comes to all the orcs I need to assemble, that's an achievement by itself. So it's a really good incentive to start that new army. And the idea is it's supposed to be Mantic-centric, but if you don't want to do a Mantic army, or it's, whatever it is, if you're doing other models, you can still post and you can still be in the running for those monthly prizes. But if you're doing a Mantic, 90% Mantic, in terms of model count army, then you can go into the running for a $250 voucher at the end of the year, which is, I mean, that's pretty awesome. So it's just good to have incentives. I don't need more models. I probably don't need the $250 voucher. I haven't said, but I won the Countercharge Slow Grow League of 2022, which just gave me a whole bunch more Trident Realm stuff, which is great. But yeah, I don't really need more models. I seem to be pretty good at acquiring them anyway. But that said, I still want to do it. It's 2,300 points, and that's a pretty good amount of stuff that I pretty much already have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the army list that I planned, because the best way to get an army done in a fast amount of time is to really, pin down all the units you want, get them lined up, and then just power through them, slap choppy kind of painting or whatever. It's kind of what I did anyway. Like, a lot of people know this. Like, you spray paint your miniature, maybe you do a Zenithal thing, and then you put some, some transparent paints over it, and voila. I guess the difference is the slap chop is a bit more dry brushing on top, but I do not do that because that's too much effort. I can't be bothered, especially not with 80 orcs. So let's go through the army list for the 2,300 points that I plan to have done. Oh, and the other Slow Grow League I forgot to mention is the Countercharge one, which started in March. So I guess I'll post in that one as well, and maybe win something. I mean, the ultimate prize for that is fantastic. If it's the Mantic, I think, yeah, if it's a 90% Mantic, the top prize of that is a gaming table made by 𝕺𝖉𝖉, which that's incredible. He says, yeah, he's going to style it, he's going to talk to you, he's going to make it, all that kind of stuff. So for everyone else around the world, not just Australia, it's a pretty good prize. So I mean, MacLeod is doing great, like $250 prize, and then prizes all the way up. But yeah, the fact that 𝕺𝖉𝖉 will make a gaming table, like, I've got a table. I've got some, some wooden boards that I put on top of a table, and then I put a gaming mat on top of that. It's okay. But man, if I had a proper gaming table, at first I'd have to talk to my wife to figure out where I'd put it. But that aside, pretty cool. But hopefully I won't win it, because the postage would be horrendous, and I'd feel really bad. So anyway, onto the list. What do I actually plan to put together? Well, it's going to be mostly infantry centric. So if you don't recall what I showed in that video 8 months ago about what I had Riftforged lined up, I had this box. So this is the army, just the Riftforged Orc army. And I also had the 2-player starter set with the Orc half, with the Orcs and Halflings. And so what they really just come with is, well, lots of Orcs. It's especially this one, it's kind of a boring starter set. Like, you wouldn't want to get 2 of these, unless I guess you really wanted Thunderseers to make a horde. But like, even the Mega Army is just more of these and a different kind of dude. I think it's the Stormcaller on a Manticore and a Riftforger. So it's like, So anyway, that's why I thought just get the small one. It's fine, because with that and the starter set from the Halfling one, that gives me 80 Riftforged Orc models, which I can make either way. I can make them into Reborn Legionaries, which are the more elite Crushing 2 inspiring one, but they don't unlock, so you don't want too many of those. Or you can make just your standard Riftforged Legionaries, which are sword and board, or sword, hammer and shield. And they're fine as well. They're really good. So let's go into the 2300 point list. Maybe we'll make it come up somewhere here, and I'll talk it through. So first we have a horde of Riftforged Legionaries, because yeah, why not? I'm going to do preferred model count, I think, so I can still have some cool stuff on the bases. So that's 30 of the bad boys, the simple guys. Crushing 1, 25 attacks, melee 3+, not much to talk about. You don't want to get hit by it, but if you need to remove it, you need to send in multiple things at once. So it's just a really good kind of anvil that is, pretty much quintessential to a good Orc army. So yeah, that's that. The next units I have are 2 troops of Riftwalkers. So Riftwalkers are kind of weird, because they're a troop of Orcs that have their normal Orc stuff, like Crushing Strength 1, but they're fearless, because they're kind of supposed to be spooky. I mean, they've got the idea is that they're kind of Orcs that were forged but not very well, or they've still got a tie into the abyss or something like that. Like they're not quite completely there. They're kind of ephemeral in a way. And so they've got fly, they've got nimble, strider, speed 7, but still defense 5. So they're kind of like a fast-ish, speed 7's not that fast, thick chaff. So yeah, you kind of got to have them. They're the best chaff in the army. It's either you use them as chaff, you could use Orklings, I suppose, but they kind of slow down the army, whereas the Riftwalkers help speed it up. And they're fearless, so that's really good. You could have Tundra Wolves as well, but also again, they're not fearless, and they're not that cheap. Whereas yeah, these things 120 points, and if you get them into a flank, they'll still do quite a bit of damage, but melee 4+, so they're not great. But the main thing is they don't actually have an official model, because I imagine they would be kind of Orcs, but kind of maybe wispy, like maybe like they're kind of like ghosty Orcs. But in any case, just in case they do come out with models, what I will be using is something that I purchased from Mantic probably 12 years ago. Whenever the Mantic released their Orcs was when I purchased some, back when I was playing Warhammer Fantasy, because I think I was just starting university, not much money, and I really needed to have a lot of Orcs for a Warhammer Fantasy Battles Orc army. And so I just went to Mantic. I saw that it was just so much cheaper, like night and day. Like you could get, and especially the Games Workshop infantry Orcs were not that great a kit. Like they're alright, but their butt was like really sticking out, scoliosis kind of stuff. Whereas let's get a painted one. Here he is. He's not bad. Yeah, so anyway, I painted a couple. I haven't painted all of them, because also back then I just really didn't paint much, because I don't know. I'm so much more enthused, even though I've got way less time, I'm so much more enthused to paint for Kings of War, just because there's a satisfaction of getting it all onto a multi-base, and then it's really truly done. Whereas you could paint 20 Orcs, or you could paint 30 Orcs or 40 Orcs, but it'll never look like it's done because they're always an individual model. So multi-basing, pretty fantastic. Anyway, so it turns out I got 30 of these these are axe guys, and I also have 20 of the Great Axe guys, all the way back then, pretty bad priming there. See, look, I didn't even get underneath. So yeah, what I plan to do, Zenithal prime them, and use the Great Axe, I think, because I can still use the actual axes Unforged Orcs, because they're just a cheap unlocking unit. So I'll keep those for Unforged Orcs, because I got 30, so I can make 2 regiments of Unforged, which I think will always be helpful. And I can make, with the 20 Great Axe, I can make 2 troops of Riftwalkers super easy, and they look pretty good, because the Great Axes are pretty good looking model. They got the big axe, they look alright. And yeah, if I Zenithal prime them and then I paint them ghosty, which everyone agrees is pretty much, apart from painting them like a statue, is one of the easiest ways to paint. So there is a nice, quick, easy unit where I'll just be like, boom, put on, I don't know, Hex Wraith, the technical paint, you know, the green one, or maybe I'll go bluey and I'll go put on like Prismatic Bolt or something, like just, or 𝕽𝖋𝖋𝖙𝖋𝖔𝖗𝖈 Blue. 𝕽𝖋𝖋𝖙𝖋𝖔𝖗𝖈 Blue is a really tricky, not tricky, but you expect using that contrast paint that it'll like coat and it'll make it like a really nice kind of opalescent blue, but it doesn't do that at all. It's very kind of more of a glaze, and so once you realize that, then it's quite powerful and useful, because then you can use it to just tint things. And so I think maybe that's how I'll make these ghosty orcs. So yeah, that's the 2 troops of Riftwalkers. Then I have a horde of Hellstrikers, which, you know, don't get in the box, but I bought 2 regiments of Hellstrikers, and they're quite tricky to put together because there's lots of components, but the resin is fantastic. There's really fantastic detail on that resin. The models look great. It's just fiddly in terms of trying to put all the bits together. But, you know, I got it done, and it pretty much fit. Like, I didn't have to employ all the... I think I only put in a little bit of liquid green stuff just to fix one nose. I just kind of had a bit of a gap in one of the Manticore's nose, but everything else was fine. No major gaps or anything. So... definitely recommend the Hellstrikers. They're a bit pricey, but they do look good. They've got the cool wings and stuff. So I've got 6 of those, and of those I plan to use 4 to make the horde, because I'm going to base them with regiments, so it'll be 2 and 2. And then I'm going to use 2 extra to then make the hero, which is the Stormbringer on Hellstrike Manticore, which was later in the list, spoiler. But yeah, so I've got a horde of Hellstrikers, which I'll give Sir Jesse's Boots of Striding, because, you know, you just kind of got to put that on cavalry, because these guys do have Thunderous Charge 1, Crushing 1, but yeah, Brutal, Life Leech, like they're really good. They're pretty much Dracons, but just got a little bit more durability with that Life Leech, and a little bit punchier with that Brutal. So otherwise, pretty much the same. So that's why I want to give him Sir Jesse's Boots. Next on the list, I have a Stormslayer. So this is a model I don't have, so that's one I'll be purchasing. Which is, it's just a cool model. It's like this kind of mutated troll with like all kinds of metal fused to it. I'll bring up a picture. It just looks great. It's got these 2 like kind of falchions, and it looks like just a berserker troll, and that's what it is. It just goes in. It's got 8 attacks for a single little monster. He's only 130 points, and he's fearless, -14, like crushing 2. Why not? He's just going to be some guaranteed damage into any fight, and you know, you can send him out and be like, you want to charge this guy? Otherwise he'll charge you, kind of thing. He's a good... because sometimes when I make my armies, I never have something that I can just kind of use as bait, where I can put it forward. But bait in a way that it won't get in the way. You don't want it waverable. You also want it to be a threat, because otherwise they just ignore it. Like, you know, you put gargoyles in front, people are like, I can just shoot that off. Whereas this guy, he's -14, defense 5. Oh no, defense 4. Ooh. Okay, so you get shot off. Gladestalkers could put a dent in him. But, you know, I'm definitely excited to have at least one, and... he just works in the army quite well, and he's kind of like a nimble scoring, not quite hero because he doesn't have inspiring, but otherwise very useful. Then the next model that I don't have a model for is the Stormforged Shrine, which I'll also be getting the actual Mantic model, because I think it's pretty cool. I'll be painting it quite a bit differently, but that's because of my colour scheme, which I'll show at the end of this video. But yeah, Stormforged Shrine, definitely cool. I'm going to get that, and it's definitely like a good unit for the army, because it's just... it has a Fury Aura, which is already good. It has a combat profile that doesn't stink. It's fearless, and then it casts spells. That's the thing it does best, is it casts these spells, and the spells are better according to how many units are around, up to a total of 3. You know, it's kind of like the ogres and the orcs. They get more on their spell value. So, you know, it has Banechant, it has her Shadow Beast, and it has Lightning Bolt. So it can do something every phase. So it can start off the game doing zappy zap. You know, maybe taking out a Gladestalker unit or some chaff. And the best part about it is with that +3, so it has Lightning Bolt 3, +3, so it has Lightning Bolt 6. It can keep casting until it fails, but with a -1 to that value. So it goes from, you know, Lightning Bolt 6, Lightning Bolt 5, Lightning Bolt 4, Lightning Bolt 3, Lightning Bolt 2, 1 maybe. So you can see that it can actually punch out a lot of Lightning Bolt in that first phase, the second phase, you know, in those parts of the game. And then once everything gets into combat, then suddenly, you know, it's dishing out Banechants or a Host Shadow Beast to, like, you know, a little hero. And you know, that's super useful as well. So yeah, I'm hoping that that's going to be a fun model to put together, and not not too tough. But so far, the modern resin I've been really pleased with, and it's definitely not like the GW stuff. 𝕺𝖗, which, you know, actually comes in the starter box with the halflings. So that's the hero you get. That you get a pretty much either Stormbringer or Manticore or 𝕺𝖗. There's no real details as what makes 𝕺𝖗 𝕺𝖗, apart from that he's on the Manticore. He's a kind of a cavalry hero, and he is a beast. You know, I mean, already the Stormbringers are pretty good because they have one of the rare rules in the whole army, which is Storm Strike. So Storm Strike is supposed to be the unique ability for the Riftforged. Like it's supposed to be when you hit on a 6, you get blast 2 on that hit, which is pretty cool, you know. But the problem is it's only available to 3 units in the entire army, and those 3 units are not really units; they're just heroes. It's the Riftforger, I think, 𝕺𝖗, and a normal Stormbringer. So not Stormbringer on Hellstrike Manticore. It makes sense. It could be broken. Like if you actually give it to something with a boatload of attacks, it'll be just terrible. Because, you know, how would you cost that? It'd just be too powerful. But at the same time, you know, it's never really cool when it's just like, oh, the upgrade for the army is actually not for the army. It's just something that could be written into the unique unit entries for those guys. Like it almost doesn't need to be at the start of the army list. Whereas I feel like things like a good one would be like giant rats for the undead giant rat. You know, that's good, and it's on lots of things. Even a sacrificial imp's pretty good. I mean, I've never found them very useful, but at least it can be taken by pretty much everything with regeneration. So yeah, but he's got it. He's got Storm Strike. He comes built in with it, and he has Thunderstruck, which makes him even better because then he gets his Storm Strike on 5s as well as 6s, and he imposes a -1 to damage or to hit. One of those. But essentially he debuffs the unit that he smashes into. So you can really send him in like a missile, and he could tank him for much longer. He's 14, 16, so, you know, it's pretty much a standard regiment kind of nerve. And yeah, so I've got him, I'm going to paint him, and the model looks awesome. I've already put it together and primed it. So that's pretty much right on the chopping block next. Now that I've figured out my colour scheme. Next, I have 2 more Stormbringers, because 𝕺𝖗's the top Stormbringer, so I have 2 more Stormbringers, and I'm going to put them on Hellstrike Manticores. So that's it's a scoring, it's pretty much like a Drakon, like, you know, Elf Lord and Drakon. Fantastic. Why not? And they're not too expensive. They've only got 5 attacks, but that's a perfect candidate for things like, you know, the Blade of Slashing, Mace of Crushing, because that effectively gives them 1 more attack, you know, kind of, in a cheap way. But these guys would have been good with Storm Strike, for instance, because they've only got 5 attacks. It wouldn't have broken the bank, but I suppose the difficulty is now that they have unit strength, they could triple their attacks in combat, so then you would have to start writing in the Storm Strike thing, well, you don't get triple attacks or double attacks, but then it wouldn't work, would it? So yeah, you can't do it. So I can see why, but it would have been cool on these guys. But yeah, apart from that, they're pretty much like Drakon Rider hero guys, so they're fantastic, and they just get around, they're nimble. So you can use them to project some threat, because they've got speed 10, along with the Hellstrikers. So one of them could be escorting the Hellstrikers, the other one could be doing its own thing, and so, you know, it's quite a flexible looking army. And then the last one, before I get to the formation, is 𝕺𝖗. So 𝕺𝖗 is one of the unique heroes as well. So we've got 𝕺𝖗, who's one of them, and 𝕺𝖗. So 𝕺𝖗 is one of the Thunderseer heroes. So yeah, this box comes with 3 Thunderseers. I don't really want it, well, I mean, also 3 Thunderseers, there's nothing much I can do with that. A regiment of Thunderseers is probably not worth just chucking in an army, just because I have them. But 𝕺𝖗, I can chuck in an army. Because he, being a nimble scoring hero, so already pretty good, he has the ability to redeploy, because he has the visions from the Rift, which means he can kind of be like, put him here at the start, and then later I want to redeploy him over there. So, and I mean, it's only a hero, so it's not really going to be like, oh, that's you know, the whole army, but he is defense 6, and he has crushing 2 and 7 attacks. I just looked at it. Yeah, 7 attacks and dash 15. So dash 15, defense 6, 7 attacks is pretty hard to get through. So yeah, and he's 190 points. So you're paying for it. He's not super cheap, but I think the best part is that, yeah, he's going to put in the damage. He's inspiring. He's got Pathfinder. He's going to be very reliable damage, and he's going to be very hard to shift as well. So I think he's going to be a good spot for the list, and yeah, he scores. And yeah, it makes use of one of the Thunderseer models. So I have converted one, because I didn't really just want to chuck a Thunderseer on his own base and just be like, look, it's 𝕺𝖗. 𝕺𝖗 is supposed to be defense 6, and so I took one that I thought I liked the pose the most, And then, you know, they're dual-wielding hammers, and so I just kind of didn't put the head on one of the hammers, trimmed down the handle, and then stuck a shield from a Mordor troll on it, you know, which is just a chunk of metal, really, but it looks pretty cool. And then, to cover his face, because I really don't like the Cyclopean faces. I mean, I don't mind, nothing against Cyclopses, but the problem is these Cyclopean faces are kind of like, you know, I'll do a close-up there. They just look a bit too derpy. Like, I get they're supposed to be kind of tortured Cyclopses, but the kind of torturing looks like it's more gastrointestinal rather than an actual fearsome kind of like Dark Elder, you know, Dark Elf torturing. It just seems like they just can't poop. So yeah, I'm hoping, I have achieved what I think is a good Verdler by getting, hence I mentioned Dark Elder, because I do have Dark Elder in my collection. I don't know when I'm going to paint that. I've painted a few already anyway, but I do have the full face masks that come from the Talos Paint Engine, which is one of the few awesome kits that Games Workshop makes, because it comes with so many extra bits. It comes with like 7 face masks. Like, everyone uses that to convert everything for Dark Elder, and so I had some left over, and it turns out if you just kind of push it very firmly on with some super glue, it will cover the entire face very nicely, very snug. I did have to push it, but I didn't really want to grind away anything, because I still wanted to maintain the shape of the face underneath the face mask. So if you were to look underneath, you would see the chin, you'd see like the side of the face. Like, I didn't want to ruin that shape of the face, so it just stuck on. And now he's got a full face mask, and he looks badass, and he looks defense 6 because he's got a mask. He's got a helmet kind of thing going on, so it's a bit more. He's got a shield and a helmet, so he goes from defense 5 to defense 6. It's that easy, guys. But yeah, feel free to copy that conversion if you happen to have a Mordor troll shield and a Dark Elder Talos Paint Engine face mask lying around. But the face masks are super easy to get. I don't know about the Mordor troll shields, but you can get that face mask pretty much on any bit site, because yeah, the Talos gives you so many. So I would definitely recommend that, and then just find whatever shield you like. Like, the Mordor troll shield is not quite as intricate as all the you know, the stuff that actually comes with Riftforged, because they kind of the idea of the Riftforged Orcs is that they actually have very good gear rather than just, you know, scrap metal bent and just, you know, iron just pinned onto them and stuff. But it's fine. The shield was lying around, and it fits snugly, and it's the right size, because he's kind of Mordor troll size too. So then, let's get on to the last part of the list. Ain't I taken a while? So I'm just going to scroll down, because the last part of the list is the formation. I've kind of already mentioned it. And so these are the Riftforged, what are they called? The Iron Boots. And it's pretty much just lots of more troops. So that's where the rest of the box, this box and the other box is going, is to this formation. So it's 2 regiments of Riftforged Legionaries, the normal guys, and then 1 regiment of the Reborn Legionaries, which are the Inspiring Crushing Strength 2 guys. They're the two-handed. And so the formation really is good because it just gives you a pip of nerve to each unit. So they go from, I think, yeah, each one gets a bonus to their nerve, and yeah, it's just that useful. It gives a bonus to each of their nerves, so they go up by 1 each, and then you get, and you get the Wild Charge Aura just for Orc on the Reborn Legionaries. Obviously they get it themselves, so that's pretty good. And they have a threat range of 13, so that's good for them. But really, it's just, I was going to use Reborn Legionaries anyway, and then when you get a pip of nerve for that unit and for the other 2, you might as well. So they become 16, 18, and I put the Staying Stone on them because I had 5 points, and so now they're 17, 18. So wow, that's 17, 18 on a regiment, pretty hard to shift, and they're crushing too, so you don't want to be stuck in with them too long. The problem is each of these only 12 attacks, because they're a standard infantry regiment. They're not berserkers or anything like that, so they're not going to be doing too much damage. But you know, melee 3, crushing 1, they'll do something. And so I remember got the rest of the army to do the real damage. So at least this is something that's a good core, and you never know, the Wild Charge Aura might catch someone out. Obviously, this does open the doors to perhaps include some Orc stuff. So I know a lot of people have been kind of trying out lists where they have this formation where we have the Wild Charge Aura, and then putting in actual Orc units that you can take in the list. Things like the Fight Wagons or the Gore Riders. People were hoping initially the Morax could go, because the Morax are a great contender for I want to go further and shove all my attacks in your face, but unfortunately it's not plus D3, it's D3. So you either get to use the D3 from the Iron Boots formation, or you get to use the D3 that is inherent in the Morax. You don't get both. So yeah, I mean, fair enough. You don't want Morax going potentially 16 inches. That will be crazy. But perhaps it was a +1. I don't know. You can't have both. But I could see myself getting some fight wagons, especially since they have made the new chariot model. So, just grab some new chariots, chuck some orcs on top, bam. But that's expansions to this. The core of the list, in order to get it done by the time for the slow grow, so I can actually achieve it over time, is to just churn out all these infantry, paint some Hellstrikers of various kinds, and also acquire the last 2 resin models that I need, which is the Stormslayer and the Riftforged Shrine. So the Stormforged Shrine. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be pretty fun to paint, and so that's why I will introduce is the colour scheme that I've got. I've only painted one, it was a tester, and I did do it just pretty much middle of last week. So what I've gone for here, in terms of colour scheme, I had to edit it out. I tried to get to focus, just didn't want to focus on the miniature, so I'll use the pictures that I took. But what I have here is a colour scheme that was kind of, because they're called legionaries, I was kind of inspired Roman legion. So, that's mostly silver armour, and any cloth that's showing is red. So which is, what you kind of see with, like, the Caesar, the legions that invaded Gaul and things like that. So I was painting the cloth red, and it's kind of a guess where the cloth really starts, especially underneath the armour. But, I just made some executive decisions and said, that's cloth, and it goes red. Because I really wanted that kind of spot colour around the armour, because otherwise, if they're full armour, they look really boring. Then next, I have just bits of I went for like a brassy look, so there's the Screaming Bell paint, which is really good. It has really good coverage. It's very good for starting a gold. So if you want to put down Screaming Bell and start going up gold from there, it's pretty awesome. But it's also good just for doing brass. So if you put it down by itself and dry brush silver, which I'm using like kind of a Necron compound dry paint, which is like, it's alright, it's pretty good, but I find it goes on nicely, especially with Artis Opus brushes. So yeah, with that you can make it look like very much like brass, and so that's what I want. It's like the spot color of the red and the spot color of the brass over silver armor. And then for the orc skin, I didn't want to go for the standard green, mainly because when I look at the actual color scheme, I mean the green's pretty good, so it stands out against the silver. But the problem is when you have the green, and then what they have is like the cracks on the arms to show like, they kind of like they're reforged, right? And there's literally lightning coming out of them. They paint the lightning blue. Blue lightning, pretty normal, but against green, that's 2 cool colors right next to each other. So unless you're looking for it, you won't actually notice. So then what I went for, and it's going to probably take a while, but I've got 80 orcs to get through, so it won't, I'll have to practice, believe you me. What I've gone for is yellow lightning, more like Pokemon lightning, Pikachu, and so that against black, like charcoal skin. So I'm using the Grim Black speed paint to just paint their skin, because, well, I like how it goes. I haven't found a really good orc one, I guess, because I haven't tried any of the green speed paints, but I've got Auric, the contrast Auric flesh, and geez, it's just doesn't look good. Because the problem is that when he goes over anything white, it might be better if it went over like cream color or something, but it just really looks artificial or just not living. I don't know, it doesn't have the depth that I really like with the Auric flesh, whereas the Grim Black just paints things nice and black, and they're reforged, right? So they shouldn't come out still looking like orcs. I reckon they should be looking really different, and I feel like the whole reforging process, if you're getting blasted with the lightning, you're probably going to come out looking pretty crisp, like a piece of toast, and so that's why the charcoal black, like burnt, is what I'm kind of going for. And then the yellow is that striking yellow lightning that you will see in the cracks on their skin and in the eyes. I'm not sure if I'm going to do every orc with glowing yellow eyes, but I definitely will do at least the reborn legionaries, and anything of like a higher status kind of orc will have glowing yellow eyes. And then I'll make sure that I might just do yellow eyes without a glow, so then I don't have to do it all the time, because it's it's a bit nerve-wracking. It's just like, how much glow do I do? Oh, that was too much. Let's put some black back on. Okay, and a little bit more. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, eventually, like I said, I'll become a pro because I'm painting it all many times. But yeah, that's the plan. So I've got pretty much all the miniatures I need. I even got my old Mantic Orcs, which will be very helpful, and I just got to get those 2 resin kits, and then I just got to paint them, which is anyway. But that's why it's a slow grow. It doesn't have to be all done in a month. It doesn't have to be done for any particular tournament. The idea, I think, is for the Australian one, it should be done in time for the Clash of Kings tournament. That's usually held at late January, and maybe I'll bring them along. Who knows? But it definitely won't be done by any of the other major tournaments that are happening in Victoria, Australia, such as Convic. So that I will have to postpone. But I'll bring something else, because I've got other armies. Can you believe I'm entering into my 5th army as well. Just kind of stumbled upon it. And then a 6th one eventually. So I'll update on those armies once I have a bit more to show. I mean, I don't really have much to show for the Orc ones, but at least I've got some Prime stuff, pictures. I can show them panning around. So with that, please give me some critique on the list. I've showed it to you. I will be open to any critique, really. There are variants that I want to include later down the line, where I want to say try 3 Amber Orcs. They're very cool units. I don't really like the model very much. I've heard it's a nightmare to assemble, and it's just kind of a bug thing. But they're, you know, it's pretty much a lightning elemental. It just sits there just shooting lightning, and so I'll get probably some of those. I do have a Stormcaller, which eventually I'll paint up anyway, and I do have some I have a resin 3D print that I won from the Convic. That's Wing Slasher, so Orc and Wing Slasher. I also have the Maw Crusher, so I could do a double Wing Slasher list. I don't know if that'll be any good, but that is an idea. But I'm not doing that for the Mantic Slow Grow because it's not Mantic, and I think maybe it was points based. Because if it's points based, definitely cannot, because 2300 and these guys are 295 points. But yeah, it's more than 10% of the points. If it was model based, it'd probably be fine, but that's okay. Like I said, if I'm going infantry heavy, then I just have to paint all the infantry, which pretty much makes up the whole list, and then I just paint up all the other stuff I happen to own. So it's going to be a good list, I think. But yeah, let me know if you've got any experience with the Riftforged Orcs and you think that this is complete dog shit, or maybe I'm not on that track. Maybe I'm missing something. I think I've got all of the bits I need. I've got the chaff, I've got the inspiring, and I mean, I've got orcs, so it means I've got, you know, armor penetration out the wazoo. But maybe I'm missing something. Please tell me in the comments below. Otherwise, until next time, I won't say the normal thing that countercharge says. I almost did. Yeah, I've been listening to lots of countercharge. Until next time, bye.